So I'm doing that slowly enough so that when you come back, you can see what each of these slides contain. So I'll just take the moment to run through that. Unfortunately, I don't know what's wrong with the YouTube today. It created a new stream, so if you are watching and it seems what you are watching has frozen up, I've just seen the notification that a new stream has been created, so you can just go back to that to reconnect. So let me see this one, just one sec. Can somebody just check for me online to see if you can still hear, especially on YouTube? Okay, that's good. Thank you. All right, so let's continue. So you have the slides, as I've been saying, and I will go up to slide 3. Slide for phase 3 rather, which is where we'll start off tonight. Okay, so the new normal. So that's the slide we are starting off with, and I'll just kick off from here now. So you have to create your new normal whenever change arises. Don't jump to conclusions or try to oversimplify. Lead the change to the new normal, whatever that may be, and don't view that as your destination. So it means the new normal is not even your destination by itself. Okay? It will simply be a place to plant your feet until it's time to jump again. So the new normal, the new phase, the new way things appears to be now, as much as you are expected to make the right adjustment even to that new normal, don't build an everlasting tent around that. Like the saying, it is only a bend, it is not the end. So it's really important that we always have that mentality that our world is not static. Our world, the system of this world, the heart itself is not stationary. It is moving, it's in constant motion. And it's really important that if you and I we are going to keep up and maintain our place and advance, then we have to be in constant motion as well. Okay? So the author said in 2016, Russia tried to intervene in and influence the US presidential election, right? Using social media, email hacking, Twitter trolls, and more to spread misinformation. Everyone described that as unprecedented, right? And cast Facebook as the villain. That's all well and good. But the fact is Russia had done the same thing with newspapers in the 1920s, with radios in the 1940s, TVs in the 1950s, and so on. Social media was just the latest tool that they used to try and tear down American democracy. Basically, what the author is trying to say here is everybody's looking at it now to say, oh, it was the Facebook, it's the social media, it's this. The platform is not the issue now. The tactics has been the same over the centuries. So the issue of the social media now is the new normal. It is the technology or the tool that is available to spread the news, whether it is fake or real. It's the platform for the propaganda. So that's the new normal. And you and I as well, as much as, okay, we are not spreading fake news, but we need to be fully aware. Look at the church now. Again, 5-6 years or before that, the use of social media, of platforms like this for church services was not that common. Okay? It's not the norm, especially midweek service or Sunday services. But after the pandemic, a new normal became the thing, whereby majority of churches now, even with physical attendance being encouraged and pushed, a lot of churches still have provision for online platforms. Of course, that has its own detriment as well, because a lot of people have now become too comfortable with the online platform that the effort to actually go into the physical service now is a big challenge, which we've been encouraging for people to make the effort. I'm sure you are doing your job as well during the pandemic remotely for majority of us. But as time goes on, remote work ceased or gradually became hybrid. And that's the encouragement we are giving to people as well. Make the effort to return back to church services in the physical format as well. All right? So another good example of the dangers of oversimplification is the oft-stated fact: 9 out of 10 new business fail. Imagine that headline. 9 out of 10 new business fail. At first glance, that sounds pretty terrifying to an aspiring entrepreneur and suggests you should stay with whatever job you have, even if you hate it. But the reality is quite different. The US Census Bureau shows about half of new business or businesses survive the first 4 years. Can you imagine? So the first headline says 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And that could be scary. But when you really dig down, it actually provides more information to say out of maybe 10 new businesses, at least 5 of them will survive the first 4 years. Of that half, so of that 5 now, I'm giving an example of 10, more than a third of these new business owners execute their planned exit strategy and have sold their business, retired from the workforce, and have simply chosen to close the doors without any excess debt. So it means the headline information that 9 out of 10 businesses fail is actually misleading, which, based on my line of work, I have enough experience to know that when it comes to data and statistics, you need to read between the lines, because whoever is presenting the data can always present the data to support a narrative that they are trying to sell to you. That is not the end of the information. That is not all that is available to derive from that data. So in other words, far more new businesses were a success than it appears at first glance. And there is also considerable variation in how success is even defined for a business, new or old. Not every startup needs to become a $1 billion or even a multi-million dollar enterprise to be considered a success in the eyes of its founder. So imagine a new startup that start, and there has been numerous stories around that some people will start a business, and within 2, 3, 4 years of starting the business, they sell it on. They diversify, they move on to something else, because while establishing that new business, they've actually now discovered a new niche market, and they have felt the need to continue with what they started with is no longer viable, whereas the new business has opened up another opportunity. So if you just look at the top headline information, you will rank that business to have closed up or to have failed, but nobody is talking about the fact that that new business has given birth to something else, or has actually made the owner that started it to become a millionaire, because they've sold the business to another bigger organization, and they've moved on to something else. The basic thing is this: look, every information or failure that people present to you should not be it all, should not be the end of your own dream. Do you get it? Look beyond. In fact, more often than not, the story of failure that you are presented with, if you are really convinced about what you are trying to achieve, should become a motivating factor for you to say, no, I'm not going to be the statistics of failure in this perspective. So you need to double up your effort, make more preparation, do more research, expand your network, so that you can have what it takes to actually succeed in that line. So I think we need to move forward, because we are covering two phases tonight. So whenever change occurs, you want to get to a new normal as soon as possible. So how do you do this? Some suggestions by the author. 1, always treat failure as data, as the feedback you need to move forward, which is kind of what I've just said earlier on, or just a moment ago. So treat failure as a data. Let it become a feedback for you that you can use as a springboard to leap into the future. Secondly, you need to build a bridge of familiarity between the status quo and the new normal. This is about you drawing from the experience of what things used to be, and see where that experience becomes applicable and advantageous in this new normal. It is not always everything in the past that is rubbish, that is no good, that is not helpful. There are lessons that you and I, we can always learn from the past, so we don't repeat the mistakes. Or there are some good things that we've done in the past, even in the face of those challenging moments, that we need to harness those good things, and they become skills, soft skills that fortifies us in this new experience, in this new challenging moment. You need to be able to ask good questions and develop some personal theories about the answers, and then get hands-on experience figuring out whether your theories are correct or not. Basically, be open to experimenting. Don't just think everything you want to do or every good thing will just fall on your laps without you having to lift a finger. Be open-minded. Ask good questions. We've talked about this earlier on in previous weeks. Be open-minded. Be willing to explore new areas, new opportunities. The moment something presents itself and probably you don't have enough information about it, it's not enough reason for you to just discount it, to just jettison that thing. It becomes an opportunity for you to go deep, to make your research, do your findings. If you can't do it by yourself, look for people that can do it. If it means paying for their services, so be it. If it means doing, a comprehensive search to see people that have done those things and they have documented their findings, because a lot of times majority of what you want to do, if something have not done exactly the same thing, you find out that some people have done some similar things that you can now piggyback on the knowledge of what they've been able to gather together in order for you to do what you are trying to do. Even if what you are trying to do is unique, there will be something similar somewhere. A body of knowledge is called in research. There is always a body of knowledge that will be available for you to be able to look into as a springboard to what you are trying to do. Even if it's a body of knowledge that showed people that have tried similar things and have not worked, you can learn from how they've approached it to see how you cannot achieve what you are trying to do as well. So you avoid that error. The fourth suggestion by the author says, always try and look at things through a figuratively new lens by asking, what is this for? What is this for? That simple 4-word question may sound obvious, but in times of change, old things can come to serve new purposes and vice versa. Asking what is this for makes you challenge your assumptions and put things into their proper context. That's really, really important, because a lot of us, more often than not, we are too afraid to ask ourselves questions. And that's why when people ask you questions about what you are trying to do, we tend to become so defensive. We think they are out to kill our idea. We are not open. We are not, I don't want to use the word sincere, but we are not open. We are not welcoming here to other people challenging our viewpoint in a constructive way. So we become defensive or dismissive of what they are trying to say. It's because we ourselves, we have actually been afraid of asking ourselves certain questions. Because if you are hard enough, tough on yourself to ask yourself really probing questions, then when people ask you other probing questions, you are ready, you are prepared, you are not defensive, you are not dismissive of their opinion or their question. You become welcoming. It doesn't mean you accept all the ideas from people, because if you have to accept everybody's idea in view of what you want to do, then you are unlikely going to achieve anything, because people have different ideas about how things should be done. So if you are the one that has the vision, you must have a level of framework with which you want to execute your plan. Other people's opinion and ideas should help to fortify that, should help to reinforce that framework. But if you keep changing your framework because this one suggests this, that one suggests that, and this one asks you this question, then you have a long way ahead of you. Okay, so that's the fourth suggestion by the author. Inevitably, you reach a moment where you think you never want to go back. Okay, so this is the fourth one now. So if I just wrap up on that third one, that when change occurs, you want to get into a new normal as soon as possible. And these are the 4 suggestions by the author of how you and I can get into this new normal. Now, he now says, when we have reached this new normal, now phase 4, which is about won't go back. So when you've reached the new normal, it means inevitably you reach a moment where you think you never want to go back to the good old days. That's progress. Good changes stick, and they always create opportunities that did not exist before. Seize them and prosper and start building for tomorrow. This is now the phase whereby you have accepted the new normal. As much as I don't want to be too specific, in my house now, especially myself and my wife, we are accepting a new normal, and particularly for us around our diet. It's not exactly what I liked at the start, but it is what I have to do or have had to do, because I found out at some point, if I didn't make those changes or accept those changes, further down the line, the change will be forced on one, either through the medical doctors or through medications or through one's own health condition. Some changes will be forced on you. So it's better you embrace it now and you gradually, and I remember jokingly, my daughter was told of that, oh, dad was eating this particular fruit. No, is it fruit? Vegetable. Yeah, it's vegetable. See, I still confused it. Now, I don't want to say the name now. So, and as soon as she had it, she was like, well, so that, well, he has to eat it now. Why? Because it's now a new normal. Okay? So, if you don't make those changes yourself, or if you don't accept those changes, certain situations beyond you will force those changes on you. So what I'm saying is, inevitably you reach a moment. Now, it's not as shocking to me now as it was at the start. And maybe I had the first good news about the so-called change, even though it's still at the nursery stage. At the hotel where I normally lodge at work, for work, someone saw me there and said, oh, Abby, you look, you've lost weight. And I was thinking, lost weight, which weight? But I thought, okay, it means something might be working right, even if the result is not that obvious. So inevitably you reach a moment whereby you think you never want to go back to the good old days. That is what this is talking about. If it is exercise, it's never easy to exercise, but after the struggle of few weeks, your body will adjust. Like Pastor said something which is quite outstanding a while ago, our body is a servant. It will always go in the direction that you nudge it. But if you think, oh, I can't do this, oh, it's too challenging to do this, it's too, oh, that decision, oh, this cutback, or oh, exercising, or this change that you know is necessary, or that it is too challenging. Look, you had better speak to yourself and find a way to start gradually. Because if you don't make that change, and it's a change that is inevitably going to happen, then when you want to adjust to it, it will be more difficult than it should have been had you embraced it gradually. So that's progress. Good changes stick, and that's the truth. For example, if you are exercising, you find out that after 3, 4, 5 days, your body was probably aching, you are gradually doing the exercise, but with time, oh, the 10 minutes that used to be like, oh, eternity for you will not be anything again. Then you can go 12 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever. Even if you stay on that 10 minutes, your body adjusts to it. That's just the key thing. So you need to seize the opportunities that this new normal has created. It says good changes stick, and they always create opportunities that did not exist before. Yeah. Seize them and prosper and start building for tomorrow. So the author wrote something that when startups first get going, startups mean a new business. When they first start growing, they generally tend to be judged by the ability to identify a problem and create a viable solution, right? Their ability to innovate. That's what startups, new businesses, are normally judged by at the onset. As a successful startup evolves into a company, organizational structures emerge and people start seeking operational efficiencies more and more. In other words, as they grow, companies tend to shift away from doing new things into the same things better and better. Do you get that? So when a company starts fresh, they are trying to look for something new they can do that others are not doing or are not doing the way they could do it. But as that organization becomes established, it's not about doing something new again. It's about being better at what they are doing. So that's good in terms of generating cash flow. But bad in that it leaves an established company less prepared to respond when market disruptions come along. Okay, so what do? So to reach your own won't go back moment faster, there are a few things you can try. And I think the author has suggested about 4 things, I think, that you can try for you to reach your won't go back, for you to reach a place like a plateau, a place whereby you have stability in terms of the new normal, in terms of the changes that are occurring or happening around you or that you are adapting to. The first thing that will help you to reach your won't go back moment faster is that you always need to get to the second time as fast as possible. So when you are doing something the second time, it says you need to be able to be better at time management and the amount of skills that will be required or the resources that you put into that thing, because that's where the real progress will happen. So it basically says don't neglect the lessons you learn from the first time of approaching a situation. And you will not be able to do that if you don't ask reflective questions. If you don't sit back to ask yourself, what did I do right in that thing, whether it worked or not? What did I do wrong? What can I do differently? What improvement opportunities did that experience present you? If you don't ask yourself this kind of reflective questions, then you are going to miss out on the lessons learned. And that means if you are going through the same experience again, you will not be able to save time, like this author is trying to say. So the first time you do something new and different, you always get to the end and say to yourself, if I were to do this better, here's what I will have to change the second time around. That's great. That's reflecting. And as Christians, we are God. We are made in the image of God. And if you go back to the story of creation, you will see that God exemplified this, that each day of his work of creation, what did he do? The scripture will say, and God looked at what he has done, and he will say what? It is very good. So God was reflecting on each day of creation. Then you and I, we should live our life based on reflective habits, attitude, mindset as well. Let's be able to look back. What is it that you have done? Your day, your week. Don't leave it to the end of the year. It will not work. You would have made so many mistakes. Don't leave it to the end of the project. It is not helping you. Have reflective moments. So the author is encouraging us to do this. So it is the beginning of reaching the point where you wouldn't go back to the status quo. Keep going. Learn how to do things better. Close the gap between where you are and where you know you should be. That's all part of building for tomorrow. So press on. Keep doing it and you will get better. My line of work will always have the mantra of what? Continuous improvement. So even if you have done something that is great or it has produced a fantastic result, we still believe there is something you can do to nudge it a step forward. So you always have to have a meeting, you always have to have a review session whereby you check what was done, what's good about it, what is not good. If you can't find anything, okay, what opportunities to improve do you have within that process? Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to do for you to get to your won't go back level faster. The second thing the author said is that you need to be aware of the 99% of their problem. 99% of their problem. And that 99% of their problem states for any major change, the first 99% will be straightforward, but the last 1% always hurt. So find the most impactful part of the journey and make it better. Because it is natural for human beings, for us, mankind, to focus on what is not right rather than looking at what is right. Imagine you have something that was 99% perfect and 1% not. A lot of time it will take individuals consciously calling themselves back to say, okay, 99% worked. More often than not, we tend to neglect the 99% that was right, and we find out that we focus more or we pay more attention to the 1% that did not work. But I'm not saying you should neglect the 1%, but don't let the 1% rob you of the 99% that was perfect, because you need to be able to use that as a leverage to see what you can do to impact that 1% that hurt as well. See things from but really perspective. So the author is saying you need to see things from a perspective, and that perspective is termed but really, and that means along the lines of, I may have taken on a terrifying new project, but really I'm learning a new skill set that will be incredibly valuable later on. Basically, this is about having a positive mindset. Yes, the task is challenging. We are not disputing that. But beyond the challenges of the moment, you need to be able to shift your focus to what are the new values, new skills that challenge is adding to you, that will add to your life, that will become something that will make you to stand out later in life. And again, this is a conscious thing that you and I will have to do, because if you don't consciously do that, what you find out is that we tend to focus on the challenges, the present challenges, and we don't look into the positive things that present challenge is adding to our lives. I was talking with a manager at work yesterday, because I had some audit, and the auditor asked me some questions, so I needed a document from one of the managers for the person to send that document to me, so I can use it as an evidence during the audit. So I made a quick call to the guy. Yes, I appreciate the fact that he was busy with something else, But in terms of immediacy, I had an auditor sitting right across the table wanting an evidence. Of course, if we don't produce the evidence, it can be recorded as a non-conformity. But on the phone, while I was on the phone with this guy, he started off with just some form of complaints that, oh, no, he was busy, that's why. I had to say to him, I said, excuse me, I can understand you are busy, I can understand you have some other focus, but the reality is, this is the situation now. What do we do to address the situation positively to go forward? Obviously, he agreed, he did what I wanted him to do, brought the document and all the rest. But what was amazing to me was he actually called me back to apologize for his initial response, because he was not looking at what positive things lied in the fact that he was under pressure trying to do a task and something else was being requested of him, because at the end of the day he delivered on both at the end of the day. Do we get it now? So a lot of times we focus on the challenges, but we neglect the opportunities that the challenge actually presents for us. So once you know your but really, you need to run with it. So in the case I've just cited, it means the guy could actually multitask, and that's something he should be able to focus on. It's okay, I can get this done while I'm focusing on this major thing as well. Do you get it now? So you and I, we need to find what is our but really, what is the skill, what is the opportunity, what's the new perspective that the challenging situation around us is giving us. We need to identify it and celebrate it. And this will help us to see the big picture. For us to see the big picture. Remember, at the end of the day, all we are doing is we are trying to build for the future. Your future, my future, your career, your family, the future regarding your children, regarding your ministry, regarding a project that you have set out to accomplish one way or the other. So the other point that the author, Jason Fiver, suggested will help us to reach our won't go back status fast is that we need to give ourselves permission to forget the old ways of doing things. If there was nothing wrong with the old, then there will not be need for the new. Yes, I know I said earlier on, it does not mean everything in the old that is wrong or useless. There are lessons we can learn from the old, but give yourself permission to forget the old ways of doing things and go all in on the new and better way that presents itself. So even if what you are going to take from the old is the memory of what you have tried to do or how you have tried to do things and it has not worked, then it means now you can map out a different pathway to achieving the goal you have set. So it still means there is something you are taking from the old, but you are not letting the old to become a stumbling block, a hold back to what you are trying to do in the future. So sometimes that will trigger an identity crisis because you were previously so passionate about the old way of doing things, but that's okay. Push through it. Your brain is not built to remember the past perfectly, just the narrative that you choose. Wow, that's really important. Believe in yourself. Trust that you are becoming someone better than before, and keep moving forward. That's the essence of building for tomorrow. Push through. Your brain is not meant, because the truth is there's no way when I'm saying there's no way, Maybe you have very few individuals that have what is called photographic memory, right? But even with that, there is still a limitation. So your brain and what you remember most often tends to be selective in that the things that you want, the narrative you want to remember, the brain is able to navigate, to connect the dots, to give you the replay of that experience. So you can choose the narrative that you choose to remember. And what the author is saying is the narrative you should always desire to remember are the narratives of what will help you to forge ahead into the future. So believe in yourself. Trust that you are becoming someone better than before. And above all, you need to keep moving forward. Remember what we said at the start of this service tonight, that our world, the system in it, is in constant motion. So you and I, we must make up our mind that we are going to move forward irrespective. We are going to forge forward. We are going to push through. We are not going to limit ourselves. We are not going to make what has not worked or what has failed before to now become the holdback that stops us from going forward. No, we are going to use them as launch pad to say lessons learned. Then you are going to now use that to fortify yourself. So that's the essence of building for tomorrow. Change is difficult for humans. Historians, they suggest this might be because change could mean danger or may even mean death for our ancestors. Researchers also note changes and transitions are hard because it forces us to redefine our purpose and place in the world. That's fine, as long as you understand the difference between what and why. Once you differentiate what you do from why you do it and dig deeper to get to the heart of the matter, then you have an anchor. Your job titles may evolve from being a reporter to an editor to a publisher or whatsoever, and that will be fine as long as you stay aligned with your why. So the essence of this book is to push us to understand our what? Our why. Understand your why. You can be adaptable and flexible, but understand your why. Why do you do what you do? If you can answer that, it will help you to manage your resources, manage your expectations, build your desire to go forward, to not stay the same way things are. Okay? And in fact, again, my pastor always says that you are not actually, people cannot actually be static in life, because life is a motion. So when you think you're actually static, you're actually retrogressing, you're actually moving backward, because our world is in constant motion. So if you are not moving, you are not actually staying at the same spot, you are moving back, and things are passing you, happening right in front of you. So that's the book, Build Your Tomorrow, or Build for Tomorrow. The summary of the book, based on the first sections, is shown here, which just give me a sec, let me see that on a bigger screen myself. So you have the 4 phases highlighted with a quote or some highlight. The first one says phase 1. I didn't put phase 1. Just one sec. So what's phase 1? which is about we panic, but there is a conclusion that the author put to phase 1. That's interesting. It's actually wrong in the book itself. Okay, so phase 1 says pause. Yeah, it's there. It says pause when others panic. Sorry, the typo is what confused me, but that's actually the way it was wrongly typed in the book as well. Phase 1, this should be phase 1 or phase 4. So it says pause when others panic. Ask, what am I doing differently? What new skills will I learn? And how can I use them elsewhere? We looked at this when we were looking at the panic response. So that's the first one. The second one, which is phase 2, which is about adapt, it talks about be the first to change, even better, change before you have to. By being more adaptable, you prosper no matter what. So this is just recapping the book. The third phase, which is about new normal, is the phase whereby you always view the whole as an ever-changing place full of variety and lead to the charge to the new normal. Move fast. Okay? And the fourth phase, which is about won't go back, is the aspect whereby you need to be proactive about seizing the new opportunities change brings. They will be there every time. Change comes through doing. Change comes through doing. I hope this book has been a blessing to you. I know it's a lot to take in, but as long as you can take something and start with just one thing that you have learned from this. That should be a good starting point. So the key thought, the future is not optional. Change is coming. It's there. It's there. It cannot be stopped. And when it comes for us, we really only have two choices. We either embrace it or we fight a losing fight. When it comes to change, you fight it. It's a losing fight you are fighting. The other key thought from the book says, there is a wonderful quote attributed to IBM founding chairman Thomas J. Watson. IBM, that's it's a computer thing. It's got to do with IT stuff. So their founding chairman Thomas J. Watson said, if you want to succeed, double your failure rate. But Watson probably didn't say that while he was failing. Failure is only glorified in retrospect, right? So basically what that is saying is, look, don't be afraid of failing. Double up your effort so that at the end of the day your chances for success becomes magnified. And lastly, while we do it, even as your job or lives change and we may feel dislodged from the things we knew best, we still have innate skills, abilities, passions, and beliefs that define us. Which is to say, change is not actually all-encompassing and permanent, but we must be able to tell which part of us will change and which part never will. So it's about perspective, it's about embracing change as it comes along so that you are not left grappling with what is changing around you. Because as the author repeated again and again, change is inevitable and we can only make the most of it when we are part of the change leaders, the first ones to change, and we can take advantage of that. I hope this book has been a blessing to you. Thank you for joining me tonight. And we will encourage that you join us in church on Sunday 11 to 1 at 6 Union Street, Luton. Of course, bring someone along. It's the Mother's Day on the day, so yeah, bring someone along and let's celebrate our mothers in the house together, and mothers to be as well. The Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, the Lord make his face to shine upon you, the Lord will lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace in all your ways. The light of the Lord will lead you into every prepared blessing he has for your life this day, this week, this year, in the mighty name of Jesus. Stay blessed. Enjoy your week. We'll see you next week by the grace of God. Bye.